Remastering a beloved game appears to be a win-win situation. Because of the nostalgic factor, re-releasing a polished version of a classic appears to be a sure thing. If the original's minor flaws have been addressed, there is nothing stopping the remaster from being superior in every way. And how can you say no when the latest version has improved graphics, new modes, and new features? 10. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. The Wii Motion Plus was the game's main selling point in Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. The hypersensitivity of the device allowed the player to be far more precise with Link's movements, especially when wielding his sword. That was the plan, at least. Although SS was chastised for tedious backtracking, repetitive bosses, and Phi, in general, the Motion Plus was chastised the most for its imprecision. However, when Skyward Sword was remastered for the Switch, many major flaws were addressed. There was now an autosave option, the overly long cutscenes could be skipped, and Phi's pointless hints could be turned off. If you were hoping Nintendo would figure out how to implement motion controls with the Switch's Joy-Cons, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Despite having a decade to perfect the technology, the developers are just as inconsistent as before. Unfortunately, that isn't the only thing Nintendo messed up. To reduce backtracking, the developers enabled the player to teleport to the hub Skyloft at any time. 9. Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition. Despite being a brilliant sequel to the equally magnificent Chrono Trigger, few people have played Chrono Cross. The Squaresoft sequel did not sell well, and this PlayStation title was not released in Europe. Until recently, it had never been ported to any system, denying gamers the opportunity to experience this underappreciated marvel. So when Chrono Cross The Radical Dreamers Edition was announced for multiple systems in 2022, RPG fans rejoiced. Instead of a direct port, the gaming community was pleased to learn that this remaster featured improved graphics, a new soundtrack, and the ability to disable encounters. It also came with a text-based minigame called Radical Dreamers, which had previously been unavailable outside of Japan. However, anyone who played Chrono Cross on the PlayStation 1 noticed a flaw in this so-called remaster. The frame rate drops more frequently than in the original, whether you're playing on the Xbox One, PS4, or Switch. Although early reviews claimed that the inconsistency of the frame rate rendered this version unplayable, this was a gross exaggeration. If you never played the first Chrono Cross, you probably won't notice this problem. 8. PaRappa The Rapper. PaRappa The Rapper was initially regarded as a bizarre rhythm game for the PlayStation 1 and nothing more. However, because PaRappa was the first rhythm game to gain traction, its influence on the genre cannot be overstated. There would be no Guitar Hero without Nana-on efforts. Shaz there is no Dance Dance Revolution. No, only dance. Because PaRappa is now regarded as the forefather of rhythm games, gamers of today can appreciate this achievement. So when a PS4 remaster was announced, everyone was ecstatic at the prospect of jamming with everyone's favorite beanie-wearing pup. Even if it was a little dated, die-hard fans wouldn't mind as long as they could show off their moves and freestyle alongside Chop Chop Master Onion again. 7. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Because Super Mario's 35th anniversary was in 2020, gamers expected Nintendo to do something truly special to commemorate their mustachioed mascot. Fans were ecstatic when word spread that the Japanese company was working on a remaster of multiple entries centered on the gravity-defying turtle-stomping plumber. Later that year, Nintendo unveiled Super Mario 3D All-Stars, a high-definition remake of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. Although it was enjoyable to play some of the best games ever, as well as Mario Sunshine, fans had high expectations. Instead of a graphic overhaul to compete with modern games or even updated camera controls, this remaster received nothing more than a fresh coat of paint. Also, why in the name of Yoshi didn't Nintendo include Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is widely regarded as the best Wii game? Even stranger, All-Stars was only available for a limited time. If you didn't buy it within the first few months, you missed out on the chance to relive the trilogy. It appears that Nintendo did the bare minimum for this re-release, knowing that die-hard fans would buy it regardless. 6. Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords. The sequel to the groundbreaking role-player was unavoidable with the re-release of Knights of the Old Republic. Because KOTOR: The Sith Lords was a flop, you wouldn't expect Star Wars fans to be eager to revisit this sequel. Because of the game's numerous bugs and unfinished state, one might wonder why any gaming company bothered to re-release it. So when fans learned that this remaster would include the missing content from the original, it felt like the Sith Lords might be able to redeem itself. Surprisingly, this remaster was even more soul-destroying. Textures go black for no apparent reason, audio sporadically dips in and out, and characters clip through walls so frequently that you'd swear it was a Jedi power. Many players complain that the game crashed every hour, making gameplay excruciatingly difficult. Some bugs were so severe that completing the Sith Lords was impossible no matter how many times the player reset their save state. Because the first KOTOR remaster was nearly seamless, there's no reason why the same level of quality couldn't be maintained for this sequel. 5. Life is Strange Remastered Collection. Life is Strange follows Max Caulfield, a teenager who discovers she has the ability to time travel. Despite her best efforts to use her abilities to help others, Max finds herself falling victim to the dreaded butterfly effect, which causes her actions to have unexpected consequences. Life is Strange became a sleeper hit thanks to the Telltale-esque adventure game's interactive story and character development. After a few sequels, including last year's second official sequel, True Colors, Deck 9 and Black Tower Studios decided to remaster the original game as well as the spin-off Before the Storm. With improved lighting and facial motion capture, it appeared that Life is Strange Remastered Collection would address some of the original's flaws. However, upon reflection, the remaster was unnecessary. Although the graphical improvements are easily discernible when compared side by side, they are not noticeable while playing the most recent incarnation. The new content is so minor that some players may not even notice it. 4. Commandos 2 Men of Courage. Pyro Studios' Commandos was many gamers' first experience with real-time tactics games. As good as the first game was, Commandos 2 Men of Courage outperformed it in every way and is widely regarded as the franchise's pinnacle achievement. As a result, when Pyro was liquidated in 2017, Calypso Media swooped in to acquire the rights to Commandos and immediately began work on an HD remake for the sequel. Because Pyro's pride and joy was Men of Courage, Calypso most likely assumed the new version would print money like there was no tomorrow. However, recreating what made the original so special is easier said than done. You'd never guess this remaster was based on one of the greatest tactical games ever, based on the terrible controls, jerky movements, and imprecise interactions. 3. Halo the Master Chief Collection. The Halo Master Chief Collection appears to be the best kind of gaming compilation on paper. This set includes an updated graphic version of Halo 1-4. You could also switch to classic graphics for Halo 1 or 2 by pressing a button. A live-action series, a multiplayer beta for Halo 5, and 6 new maps are also included in the collection. If the Master Chief Collection seemed too good to be true, it probably was. Even though online multiplayer was abhorrent, early reviews glossed over this flaw, believing it would be fixed in the near future. 2. Ape Escape on the Loose. Fans were ecstatic to learn that Japan Studios' Banana Bonanza was getting a remaster, as it was a criminally underappreciated platformer. However, when Ape Escape on the Loose was released on the PlayStation Portable, gamers quickly discovered a minor flaw. Ape Escape's success was not solely due to its simple controls, whimsical characters, and catchy tunes. The use of the DualShock gamepad was the title's most appealing feature. In fact, the chimp-filled classic was the first game to require this vibration-based controller. Because this system was missing from the PSP, the gameplay suffered greatly. It wasn't the same as playing Super Mario 64 without a control stick. Because the DualShock is what made Ape Escape unique, it begs the question of why the game was released on a system that couldn't support the mechanic. 1. Warcraft III Reforged. Look at what Blizzard did with Warcraft III Reforged if you want to learn how to disappoint someone step by step. Simply put, there were no improvements to the remastered editions of Warcraft III, Reign of Chaos, and the Frozen Throne expansion. Every bug and technical issue remained. Every positive aspect of the original was either removed or diluted. The graphics had deteriorated, making multiplayer unplayable. Because many hyped features, such as cinematic cutscenes, were missing, customers felt duped into purchasing the game. Because Reforged was so poorly handled, gamers refused to play it, preferring to stick with the original. Unfortunately, they couldn't. Because Warcraft 3 automatically converted to Reforged, the original, on which fans had spent hundreds of hours, was no longer available. Have you ever played a game that was so bad that it effectively erased your favorite game from existence? That is exactly what happened here. If you enjoyed viewing the show, we would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to it by clicking the button labeled subscribe. Make sure the notification button is activated so that you are kept abreast of all the newest videos that we upload.